Hello, and thanks for joining me on Board Crawl today. Today we are creating a set of characters from the expansion books, and we're going to use a different book for each character just to show a variety of these characters and what they can do, their unique traits, and what they bring to the game. So hopefully that'll encourage you to want to try these characters out. Then we're going to run these characters through a few of the modules so I can really show off a wide variety of what For Against Darkness has to offer. So let's kick things off with the Harlequin. The Harlequin is from the Concise Collection of Classes, as you can see here, and they get plus 1/2 level to defense. They get plus half level to attack, but only when they're attacking with one weapon. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, the Harlequin gets a unique feature where it can juggle weapons, up to 3 of them, single handed weapons, and be able to attack 3 times per turn. Pretty cool character, and one that I think is going to be a lot of fun to play. You also get to start with those 3 weapons and 3d6 gold, as well as some picklocks and a jester costume. Harlequins also add plus level to stealth rolls as they can turn their costume inside out, and they get to disarm traps like a rogue, but they do not get to add their level. They start with 4 health, and lastly, they do not suffer any penalties for dealing with the Brunaldi merchants. I don't know what they are either. Next up is the paladin from For Against the Netherworld. This is one of my all-time favorite characters, and he's an absolute powerhouse in this game. So he gets a whopping 7 health starting out. He also gets to add his level to his attack rolls. He gets heavy armor starting, and then he can have either a sword and shield or a two-handed weapon. We're going to take sword and shield and really make him the best tank that we can have. He also gets prayer points, which are pretty cool. This is his level plus 1 prayer points, which he can use to heal himself or another character, and he can expend multiple inside one action to heal multiple health points as well. He can also spend them to reroll a failed save, but his rerolls can't be rerolled. Or he can actually summon a steed if he's outside that he can ride around on, which is pretty awesome. Now, he does have some drawbacks as well, because he needs to pay a tithe every time he goes to town after an adventure. He has to spend 10 gold times his current level, or all the gems and gold he found in the last adventure. He also has an oath to complete whatever mission he is on. He refuses to leave. Now, the only way he will leave is to save the party's life if all healing is completely expended and all party members are at half-life or less. Then, for the safety of everybody, he will agree to leave. He only starts with D6 gold pieces. Our next character is from Wayfarers and Adventurers, and it is the gnome. The gnome is an illusionist and a mechanical master, as he will create little gadgets that he can use throughout the dungeons, which is quite fun. And there is a massive list of things that he can do. Some examples are he has a portable door to make a door on any of the walls. He has spring-loaded ranged weaponry, like a little robot that walks up, punches the enemy, and then runs out of energy. And then you can spend some time repairing it so it works again, or a spring-loaded knife in his jacket that he shoots out at the enemy. He also gets to add half his level to defense rolls due to his diminutive size. He also can disarm traps and gets to add his level to it like a rogue can, if he spends some gadget points. He also gets to add his level versus poison for saves. He starts with 5 health, and he actually gets an impressive 4d6 gold. And that brings us to our final character and my favorite. That's right, I'm biased. I'm not scared to admit it. The Chronomancer. And this is from the book More Mountainous Mayhem. I am obsessed with time mages. I think they are so cool, and if I get the opportunity to play one in a game, especially a game like this, I'm going to take it. So, the Chronomancer is such a cool character. Eric did an amazing job designing this, and I am just over the moon that this is in the game now. Okay, I'm done fanboying now. Let's get into the actual stats of it. So, chronomancers are considered wizards in all ways except for they start with 3 spells plus level, and they get to add an additional +1 to their spellcasting rolls when casting temporal spells. Now, because they count as wizards, wizards get to add their level to spellcasting rolls. So, chronomancers get level +1 to temporal spells. Their spell selection is limited, and they can only choose spells from the Chronomancer spell list, which is in the More Mountainous Mayhem book. But they also can add any spells from other expansions that do not do direct damage, like the Fireball or Lightning Bolt spell. They are immune to paralysis, petrification, aging, and time-based magic or monsters. They also add plus level to saves based on speed and time, and they always know the exact time of day. Night elves are also fascinated by them, so if you're running something like the Court of the Flower Demon, they count as satyrs for when they woo night elves, which satyrs are incredibly good at wooing. They can use scrolls normally, but they only add level if they're casting temporal spell scrolls. And they can brew potions, like wizards from the Court of the Flower Demon, which is pretty awesome. Chronomancers only start with a tiny 3 HP. Hopefully we can keep my character that I like here alive. We'll have to see. They start with a single light hand weapon. We're just going to take a club, and they get some furs. They start with 4d6 gold, so pretty rich. And they save like a wizard or clerics of Taruman, the Time God. And they can also unlock any game effect or option reserved for a cleric of Taruman, which is the North Beyond the World, which has not released yet. Unfortunately, I'm foaming at the mouth waiting for it though. They also can expend one of any of their spells that they have to shift time. So they can make it so that when they roll for wandering monsters, it's every 2 rooms instead of 1. They can also make it like when they cut down trees from the crags, they can roll for wandering monsters every 4 square, and if they use an axe, every 2 4 squares. And so on and so forth. Anything that deals with time, they can affect it. And what I mean by that is if a supplement calls for the direct measure of days, you can choose to make it go twice as fast or twice as slow. So now let's get into what spells I picked. I did take 2 different cantrips, which is from Ordeal of the Magic Tower. So cantrips count as half spells. So you can take 2 per 1 spell that you would get. So since I get 4 spells, if I took all cantrips, it would be 8. Or if I took 2 spells and 2 cantrips, then I would have a total of 6 spells. So the ones that I went with were Lesser Immunity and Lullaby, because both of these do not do direct damage, and I feel like they keep with the Time Mage's abilities quite well. So like the Time Mage can use the sleep spell. It says think of this as like freezing them within time, which we did take the sleep spell too, because I think that that's really cool. I went with 2 Lullaby, 2 Lesser Immunity, 1 Sleep, and 1 Blessing, just in case one of our other characters gets petrified. At least we can do something to help out there. And that is our chronomancer, and hopefully I can show off how cool this character is, and he doesn't just get one shot with his tiny little 3 health. Thanks so much for watching, and as a final note, I'm going to be going through a variety of the expansions that this game has to offer. This is just a few of them on the screen now and what we went over, and I want to show how massive the library is for this game. And it may seem intimidating with all these books and all these rules, but really it's done in such a smart and simplistic way that anybody can get into it and anybody can play through. So hopefully after I show off these games, you'll be encouraged to try them out yourself and have just a great time with this wonderful game system. Thanks again.